Hey, welcome back to Real Estate Talk Podcast. Rob Keilman.
Joshua Britt.
All right, guys. We're going to continue a conversation. I started one on Compass, and they had a lawsuit against Zillow. So Josh and I are back in studio here, and what we're trying to do is kind of talk through this, Joshua. And where we got here, you got. So let me recap here. We have Zillow is being sued by Compass. Okay. Compass is suing Zillow for anti-competitive practices.
Yep.
So what Zillow is doing is, why don't you talk about what Zillow is doing? So
Zillow is essentially saying, hey, we're playing by the rules. And the rules that were established was clear cooperation agreement. And so they're saying, hey, if you do not follow clear cooperation agreement and list the house within 24 hours, then we're not going to allow you to put it on our website, right? And they're saying, hey, we're drawing a line in the sand, and this is where we stand in it. But Compass wants to be able to market outside of the MLS their listings to their private network of buyers.
So let me ask you a question. Why is that a problem?
Well, it's a problem for two reasons. And there's probably many more, but I'm going to tell you from the standpoint of Zillow. Zillow doesn't like it because if everyone starts doing off-market pocket listings, as we call them in the industry, Zillow can't generate leads, which Zillow is an advertising company. A buyer, homeowner, or a home buyer goes to their website, searches, finds a house, clicks the button, requests more information. Their information is then sold to a real estate brokerage, or it goes into Zillow's Flex program with their affiliated brokerages, in which Zillow gets 40% of the commission. So if Zillow can't generate leads off of those listings, well, then it's a hit to their revenue, right?
Yeah.
And so on the other hand of it, though, if Compass is able to sell listings in-house, then they can dominate the market a little bit more than what they already are, because they can just keep everything in-house and they can drive more commissions, which, going back to the Sitzer-Burnett trial, the commissions and how they were structured was the biggest downfall in that lawsuit that made us lose, because they were able to say that there was collusion going on because all of the brokerages were charging the 6% and splitting it, right? Yeah. But if Compass is able to keep it all in-house and get the full 6% for themselves, let's just say at Compass, I don't know, they're on the West Coast, but I don't know what their splits are, but let's just say they're like a Berkshire Hathaway here, where like your top producing agents are getting 60% of the commission and the company's getting 40%. Well, if you're getting 40% of 6% commission, the company's doing well, and that's what they would want.
So let's pretend I'm Compass, for example, right?
Okay.
So Compass, I want my company to have this policy. So if any of our real estate clients, whether that be sellers specifically, we want to offer them a 3-tier strategy to sell their house. Maybe we want to keep it not on the MLS first. Let's start, do a limited opening, so to speak. Maybe we'll do it pocket listing only, and then maybe do like a limited, just on our website, and maybe then we'll put it on the MLS. Then all the real estate websites will be able to, have this listing, because we don't know who the customer is, right? Let's say it's a customer who owns a $30 million house. Mm-hmm. Okay. And let's say that this specific homeowner doesn't necessarily want people he knows to know that he's selling an asset that large. Maybe he just wants it on the lowdown, and then maybe after, the house is sold, then it gets reported or whatever, then that's okay. Why can't some people have exclusivity then? And I feel like Zillow, which is, saying they're basically following the clear cooperative policy of the MLS, which is no pocket listings. Basically, if you advertise the listing of wherever that is, that you have to list that house on the MLS within 24 hours. So, which means I can't say this house is going to be for sale on Facebook at this address, because that violates clear cooperative policy. But that's basically what Zillow is saying is like, okay, it's not going to be on our website either because of it. I don't know. I feel like that in a way Compass is right because they should be allowed to have some sort of flexibility on how they market houses. Why does it have to be only one way? Why can't it be a different way? I think Compass's argument was, all right, if I'm Amazon, do I penalize a seller because they try to market it on eBay first? I don't know. Do you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying, but I still think that there's no situation in which either party can win and there not be antitrust involved, right? Because Compass is a very large brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
If all of the large brokerages start saying, well, hey, Compass won their lawsuit and they're now allowed to do private listings. If every big real estate company does that, then you essentially wipe out all of the smaller brokerages.
Mm-hmm.
You wipe them all out because you just drive all the traffic to your website, to your listings, and you wipe them out. It definitely puts Zillow in a very precarious situation to the point where you may end up seeing Zillow just roll out brokerages all over because they're going to need to compete on that level, and selling leads just won't have enough, the juice won't be worth the squeeze, as they say. They won't be able to get enough revenue out of it to maintain. So they got to get all the way into the real estate market and just roll out brokerages nationwide, which they do already have brokerages in select markets, right? That's one side of it. The other side of it is I don't think that Zillow can win and there not be antitrust as well, because now it's out in the open that Zillow wants everyone to put their listings on the MLS, follow clear cooperative agreement, so that way that they can then turn around and market those houses and then sell the leads that they generate off of those. That's one of their business models, right? So the ones they want, they could essentially cherry pick those ones, right? Which, there's some data that suggests that potentially that is what is happening when you start looking, at brokerages at the micro level. In certain markets, you see a trend that in a down year, some of the brokerages that are still doing very well are those brokerages that are Zillow Flex partners.
Yeah, so Zillow is the bastion of the so people out there that aren't real estate agents and stuff like that, where do a lot of people go search for a home?
Zillow.
Right, yeah. So Zillow's got like an 80% market share on buyers. And if you're a real estate agent, right, and the reason why you have anything to do with Zillow, have you ever noticed when you go to the website on Zillow, you don't pay anything, you just sign up? And the reason why you sign up, and you wonder, how does Zillow make money? It's a Fortune 500 company, and you can buy shares on that. Well, the reality is the real customer, the way they make money is through real estate agents, okay? Now, why do real estate agents give Zillow money? Because they're buying something. And you, Mr. User, who goes to the Zillow website and registers for an account, clicks on a property, you become a lead in which a agent will actually pay money for that information if you have an interest in buying a property. Or if you do a contact now, it'll ring a real estate agent. And I've seen, because those were called connection leads, they were as high as $1,000 per phone call at one time.
Mm-hmm.
I think we remember that when we were breaking it down. I was trying to buy leads. I was like, what do you mean? Let me see. $2,000. What would $2,000 get me? One phone call? The fuck? And like three, like, contact leads or whatever. But that's how much that user data on Zillow is worth, is because those customers on Zillow typically are more high intention. They're looking to actually buy a house. So real estate agents will pay a premium to get in contact with those people.
Yep.
And I think just because Compass wants to keep it on their website first is to see if they can gain buyer leads on that, so they could basically double in the deal, have both buyer and seller commission, and that way they never even had to put it on Zillow. And Zillow, since Zillow's really their competitor at this point, they don't want necessarily their listings. I don't know if this is where they think, but I could see I don't want my listings on Zillow because I can say more listings than anybody else. What do you think?
Yeah, all those things are very possible. And I think the other thing that people don't know or don't understand is that essentially, in a lot of cases, Zillow double ends as well, right? Because no one's really talking about the fact that Zillow also has their home loans, right? So they are doing the financing of it, right? And then there's always been this, this conspiracy theory in the real estate industry that, the more that real estate agents and brokerages continue to pump the listings out and they go into clear cooperation policy, that we're only helping to build Zillow to do the inevitable, which is come out and compete on the national level with all the other brokerages, right? But if the psychology for the past 20 years, which has kind of been 20 years that Zillow's been operating, is, hey, if I want to find a home, I go to Zillow.
Mm-hmm. But why? But why go to Zillow to find a home? It's because the way the information is laid out, the way,
I don't think it has anything to do with it. I think
the fact that they don't update their website and listings under contract stay there forever.
There's that. That is one thing. People go to their website and they see more listings, but a lot of them are already under contract, right?
Right.
But it's the psychology of it, right? But now we are about 20 years into the psychology of home buyers of saying, oh, if I want to buy a house, I got to go to Zillow.com, right? And so,
or Homes.com, they're on the heels.
I don't know about that one, right? I'm not sold on that one yet. But at any rate, though, that's where a lot of people start their search at Zillow.com, right? And so with that being the case, if Zillow does continue to follow clear cooperation policy and they win this lawsuit, there is a point in time at which maybe it's 10 years, maybe it's another 20 years, but at some point, they could essentially roll out nationwide and then dominate the market overall on all levels.
That'll be just monopoly.
That will be a monopoly. And that's why I don't believe that neither Compass nor Zillow can come out of this unscathed. There's antitrust on both levels.
Not only that, because, I don't know. This is what it seems like to me, right? So what I've been reading, it looks like Zillow and NAR, National Association of Realtors, are on the same page of the clear cooperative, don't list within 24 hours anywhere else but MLS. So the way the NAR clear cooperation policy works actually benefits Zillow, because all the listings got to come home to daddy at the end of the day to make it fair for everybody. So there's no way anybody can kind of outcompete them in that way. So that's where kind of Compass is in, is like, well, wait a minute. What if we just want to do an exclusive listing? Why can't we be allowed to do that? Why does everybody have to follow clear cooperative policy? Who died and made you? You're not a government agency, NAR, right? You are a lobbying firm, basically. You are the world's largest trade organization made up of a bunch of members that don't know what you do besides charge them money every year. So you can just call yourself Realtor. So who died and made NAR the king of rulemaking? So that's where I can say where I think Compass has a right to say, if we want to come up with strategies to market homes, why do we have to follow their rules? And in Zillow, you by not having our listings, if we decide to go with our 3-tier approach, I'm not doing it justice by talking about it, but if somebody wants to take the third option of going live on the MLS and to every real estate website, they're denying them that as well because they're not following what NAR is doing, essentially.
Yeah. And I've already said multiple times, I don't think that 10, 20 years from now that NAR is still a thing, right? All of these lawsuits are really putting a lot of cracks in the foundation of the real estate industry. And I'll kind of close with this right here, right? Imagine a world in which Compass, Howard Hanna, Berkshire Hathaway, maybe a Remax, EXP, all say, hey, you know what? Instead of doing just private listings in-house, we're going to do a brokerage consortium of sorts. Well, where we will market our houses together within, 5 or 6 of the biggest brokerages. That could really happen if in a scenario where Compass wins and is allowed to do private listings. You get a good group of them together, and they can essentially put Zillow in a very, very, very tight position. Because if you take out Compass, Howard Hanna, Berkshire Hathaway, maybe an Atlantic Sotheby's, Remax, a few others in there, and none of their listings go to the MLS, oh, boy, that would be trouble for Zillow and their stock.
Yeah, that would really hurt. Now, if everybody started getting their own exclusive, listings in-house, now we start to really, like, this is mine, this is yours, everybody's got this market share of listings, that's going to put the MLS out of business too.
Oh, yeah.
They're gone.
Yeah.
They're gone.
But it just
Zillow
may
got
be,
their wish.
It just may be that that's what happens, right? Because in every industry, there's always a constant evolution that happens. And maybe the future of real estate doesn't include the NAR and the MLS.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to. Those bigger brokerages don't have to play by the rules. If they say, hey, we're not playing by these rules, and Howard Hanna did come out after Compass and say that they're no longer going to follow it as well. And so if you get a good 6 or 7 of them together and they say, hey, let's do our own thing.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's a game changer. Forces Zillow to get in the mud with everybody else and have to earn their keep.
Because here's the thing. You can kind of reverse MLS this. So let's say all these websites have their own exclusive listings. Well, you can have another website that aggregates all the listings from different sources on one website. You would just basically label where that's coming from.
Correct. That's it. And that's what I'm saying. You
It's
get
like
6
a
or
reverse
7.
MLS.
Yeah, you get 6 or 7 of them together, the top 6 or 7, and it's trouble for the whole industry.
Yeah, you're only going to be able to work at the main companies.
This could be like...
Yeah, so I mean, if you're a real
it.
estate agent, you're just going to be working at the main.
This, and I hate to make it this analogy, but this is like the 5 families of the mafia here, right?
Yeah.
You get a good
You get
5 of them
Bonanno
together.
family.
Yeah, that's it.
The Lucchese crime family.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's it. You get a good handful of them together, and it's trouble for everybody else.
Yeah.
And they vote on whether or not they want to accept you to the commission, whether or not you get a seat at the table.
Yeah. Good God. Well, we'll follow this drama as it continues to unfold. More to come on it later on. But you got anything else, Joshua?
No, that's it for me.
All right, guys. You like this video, hit the subscribe button. Give us a like. Leave a comment below. We'd like to interact with you at some point. So And if you're in the real estate business, hey, shoot us a line, and our email in the description as well. With that, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you soon.